what is the taboo of speaking about magic? There's certainly a taboo about speaking about magic. If you do, oftentimes you are perhaps ridiculed, like someone who believes in fairy tales, right? But also there is another very real taboo, and I see it coming from two sources. One source, is a sense of protection for the individual practitioner or the group of practitioners. Talking about magic and magical practices has often led to death and persecution. So there's a very real sense of safety in staying silent, right? I would put forward that now is not the time to be silent. That in fact, our society is on the cusp, but not yet committed to a path of darkness or persecution. That indeed, we are at a moment where if we speak together, that we can shift our frequencies and patterns of society to be more accepting, less persecuting. And I know that there is a huge divide happening, a huge sense of duality and fear happening in the narratives that we are presented through media, through our governments, through the industrial, medical complexes, things like that. There's a huge narrative that wants us to experience a sense of division, of light and dark, angel, demon, Pleiadian, reptilian, self and other, right? But I don't think that's actually active in the hearts and minds of humans, right? These magical creatures that have minds and hands to move things. We're beautiful creatures. I don't think that is something that's happening. That need for division, right, is happening from the hearts of you, me, and our friends and family. And so I think actually if we say, hey, hang on a second, hang on, something else is happening. I know there's these narratives. I know there's something like that happening, but I believe that magic is real, that we have the capacities to know things that our physical bodies might not have means of perception, that we can create things with our minds and hearts, that we can manifest and magnetize energies and possibilities and experiences that are truly magical. So we have that capacity, and if we start to share in the frequency of possibility, right, we say, I've had that experience. I believe in it, right? If we really truly do that as a people, as a family, then we can create a situation where we're not persecuting each other, right? We are not engaged in that battle of light and dark, but we're much rather sort of singing harmonies of light and of high and low, right? How beautiful are our harmonies, right? Even when we work with painting and art, we need to have that contrast of light and dark, and it's beautiful. We don't need to cut out half a painting because it's dark. We need to appreciate it from a point of view that's a little bit different than what we might have if we were in the painting. So just like that, we are invited to step into our magical understanding. I'm inviting you now to do that. I think the world is inviting us to do that. To step into this sort of magicality, this magical understanding, and to share that openness of, I accept you as you are. I accept that your path may be the path of the left hand or the dark magician or whatever. My path might be that of light, right? You might be Christian. I might be Buddhist, whatever, right? We can work in harmony together to create this beautiful world of magic. And we're really actually there in the world, the prerequisites for our little minds to understand that there is a plurality of experience. These criteria are present. I mean, we have instantaneous communication across the globe. We see videos of each other. We hear what each other are experiencing, and we simply need to start tuning in more and more to each other's experiences and allowing their experience into our hearts by letting go of our notions about what the world is or could be from the point of view of dogma, right? Like the world isn't magical, it's a bunch of matter moving around. Psychic stuff is impossible. No, just listen to people, see what they have to say. That's all I'm inviting you to do. And then you might discover that, wow, this whole world is much, much more vast. And we don't actually need to persecute someone based on their religious or political beliefs, so long as no one's causing harm, right? That's it. So long as your free will expression is not really being impinged or stepped on, right? There are certain skillful means that our society needs to employ for challenging aspects. Of course, like you can't. It's like if someone's casting evil spells on you all the time, you should do something, I don't know, to defend yourself against that, or to move away or shift your frequency or some such thing. So all I'm saying is that we don't need to be so afraid of persecution, right? We just don't. There's so many strange beliefs out there. The world is full of them. Really, the sense of persecution comes from memory within ourselves, right? And the sense of presenting to other people in a way that invites persecution, like, oh, you might think this is crazy, but I had this experience, right? Don't lead with that. Lead with, I had this experience. It was beautiful and amazing. I'm leading with that. I'm trying my best here to communicate a very real experience of magic that I think is relevant to this world and can be of benefit. And I see as the natural state of us as human beings here and now is a state of magical connection with a universal divine principle. Right? That's what I'm trying to communicate. And I think that's what these magicians of the past have tried to communicate, but were silenced through the need of staying safe from persecution. I say, let's create a world where that doesn't actually happen. And the first step there is by working with our own hearts and our own memories of being persecuted, perhaps in past lives or in other ways, and saying, oh, society is different. We're different now. We are more mature, and therefore we don't need to fear what we feared before, right? We have the invitation and option here and now to create that world which is free of religious and magical persecution. And therefore, I am acting as if that taboo of magical silence doesn't exist, at least in that point of view from fear of persecution. The only other reason why there is a taboo related with magical silence is because communicating deeper truths about this world and our capacities to work with them to people who are not yet ready, right, might ruin the surprise, might ruin the joy of the journey, might give them capacities that are somewhat unbalanced, right, and create a difficult experience for them, right? That is one very real reason for engaging in magical silence, right? That's one of the reasons why there are gradated paths of initiation into these magical experiences, is so that you have that journey of initiation and understanding, right? You have the appropriate teaching at the appropriate time and not before, right? Sort of thing. In my work here and now in presenting this, I realize that I am standing outside of Western magical tradition in a way by not being initiated into those systems that require magical silence. I am not an initiate in whatever traditions there are that require silence whatsoever. And yet, I have had an experience of Western magic that I want to share with you. And therefore, I can share my experience with you on my authority as an individual, right? As an individual expression of this greater unity consciousness, right? And therefore, I can offer you an invitation to a path of self-initiation, right? Self-initiation. You are initiating yourself if you choose to work with this path or any path of magic. That's my invitation, right? I can't do anything to initiate anyone. I have no desire for establishing a situation like what I've seen in the lodges, right? And people talking about the lodges. I have no desire to create a system of secret magicality that requires long paths of study and lots of money, because I have seen those systems be destructive and exploitative and aggressive and not lead to a deeper truth than what I can experience in communion with nature or my own perceptions. And therefore, I share this experience with you kind of outside of those systems. They're not needed, right? Same thing with the Enochian ritual, right? This is kind of it's full of complexity and things like that. I'm starting sharing this ritual with you with the center aether. Number one, Lil. Like it's supposed to be the center of heaven, right? This is what I start with. It's like there's nothing else that I can offer, right? Except for this consistent message that you are an expression of unity consciousness, that you are a being of magic, that you are much more than your physical body, that if you engage any path of discovery or magicality, that you will discover you are something like God, goddess, spirit, source, universe, cosmos, earth, whatever. This is what you are. This is all I have to say. This is the only magic that I can speak about. This is the only path of initiation that I can invite you to engage in. And that's why I'm speaking. I don't think we need to be afraid of persecution anymore. I think if we speak about our magical experiences, we'll actually create a magical world together. That's what's at stake here. It's a beautiful golden age of magic, right? Like, I love that. I think you would too. Right? So thank you. I invite you to speak when you feel comfortable about your own magical experiences. I bet you will discover that everyone that you know has an experience that they can relate to with you, right? I believe that if you speak in a way that's somewhat intelligent and skillful, right? Sense into it, discern, that you'll never experience a sense of ridicule or persecution, right? I believe that if you work with a path of self-initiation, right, and communicate and collaborate with other people in an open way, you'll recognize that the people you're afraid of receiving teachings in the wrong way, or that you'll ruin the journey, it won't be, right? That in fact it'll lead to a greater collaboration, accelerated discoveries. And I'd love to hear what your path is. Right? I love that. I thank you. Thank you for the courage you have to work with this material. Thank you for the courage you will exhibit by speaking your truth. Thank you.